This audio tape is devoted to the topic of networking. On side 1, you'll hear audio presentations on how to sell DECconnect and the Networking Van Seminar. On side 2, you'll hear all about a new networking product, VAX DECMAP, and the results of a study of Digital's networking installed base. You've heard a great deal lately about Digital's window of opportunity in relation to our networking capabilities. In order to maximize this strategic competitive advantage we presently enjoy, we must sell as many networks as we can now. Selling DECconnect is an important part of our networking strategy. We need to gain momentum and capture market share over the next 12 months before competitors such as IBM and AT&T catch up with us. In this audio presentation, you'll learn about how to sell DECconnect, specifically how DECconnect fits into Digital's overall networking strategy, who the target customers are, how a DECconnect sale differs from a hardware sale, and what the competitive environment is for DECconnect. Throughout this audio presentation, you'll be hearing from Gail Daniels, Manager of Local Area Networks and Strategic Opportunities in Networks and Communications Marketing. Before we begin, let's review what DECconnect is.
DECconnect was introduced in February of 1986 at DECworld. DECconnect is a communication system which delivers voice communications, local area networks, specifically Ethernet, to the desk, as well as low-speed asynchronous terminal communications. All of these communication services are made available to your customer via a wall plate in an office area. So a customer can plug into voice, low-speed data, and high-speed data as easily as you would plug in an appliance in your home.
DECconnect is a communication system that delivers voice communications, local area networking, specifically Ethernet to the desk, as well as low-speed asynchronous terminal communication. How does DECconnect fit into Digital's overall networking strategy?
DECconnect provides for your customer the physical medium to connect to any of the networking services. Prior to the introduction of the DECconnect cabling system, we at Digital did not have a means by which to tell our customer how to wire their facility so that they could get networking services easily. Our strategic competition, AT&T and IBM, however, did announce their respective cabling plans in 1984. They did not have a complete networking strategy, but they did have the cabling system. And what we found was that by having the physical medium of cables, the physical connectivity in a building, gave our strategic competition an advantage over Digital because we didn't have a recommendation for these services. So really, the DECconnect system is on the ground floor of a building, and that is why it's extremely important to our overall connectivity to have a wire in place into a building.
DECconnect is key to our overall networking strategy. It provides the physical medium to connect to any Ethernet networking service. And DECconnect is on the ground floor of your accounts, which is a strategically important foundation for future networking business. Who are the target customers for DECconnect?
The target customers for DECconnect are really any accounts where you have the following conditions. Where there's any major new construction, for example, a new building going up or a new addition of the building. Where you're having a major renovation to an existing building. Where your client is purchasing a new private branch exchange or PBX voice communication system, or where they're making a major acquisition of data communications products. All of those conditions, either singly or together, provide a very good opportunity for a DECconnect sale.
The best customers and prospects to target for a DECconnect sale are accounts where you find any one of the following conditions: major new construction, major renovation to an existing building, a purchase of a new PBX voice communication system, or where a major acquisition of data communications products is being made. The DECconnect sale does differ from a typical hardware sale, however.
It's different from a typical hardware sale in that the conditions that I just outlined, for example, the new construction or new PBX acquisition, or major renovation. Those kinds of conditions are not typical to the way in which we sell computers, in which we have sold computers. We're asking salespeople truly to look at a DECconnect sale in a completely different light than they do in a computer sale. We're asking salespeople also to sell, in addition to different conditions, we're asking salespeople to sell to new people. While an MIS or data communications manager may be involved in the DECconnect sale, typically they're just one part of the decision-making process in the sale. For example, facilities managers, telecommunications managers, building construction people in your client's account are all profiles of people who make decisions surrounding the DECconnect sale. That's very different. Those people typically are not involved in a computer sale, at least at the outset. Perhaps they're involved later on when they're involved with wiring up the computers, when the computer is finally being installed, but really not involved in the sale. Whereas at the DECconnect sale, they're very much either the decision maker or key influencers in the sale. We're not used to talking. We at Digital are not used to talking to those kinds of people. We're also not used to being so involved so early when a new building is going up. That typically was not a clue to our salespeople that this was a sales opportunity. But however, with DECconnect, it is. So, in addition to a different sales situation and different decision makers and influencers, we also have the barrier of language. Typically, the prospect for this kind of sale isn't familiar with computerese, so you may have to shift your gears in terms of talking to these kinds of people.
The DECconnect sale is different from a typical hardware sale. You're talking to new decision makers and influencers, such as facilities managers and construction people. You're involved very early with a customer when a new building is being built. These new prospects and customers may not be familiar with computers. For all these reasons, DECconnect should be a team sale.
It's truly, we have found, a team sales effort. It's quite effective if you get the field service member of your team working with the facilities people and the construction people. They tend to talk the same language. They tend to be very familiar with the problems that your customer has in the way of the construction and working through, for example, movable partitions, and very familiar with things like conduit and where you put the wires and sealing, the various kinds of ceilings and the fire codes. Those are all things that field service is very familiar with and that your customer that's going to be making the DECconnect sale is familiar with. Not typical concerns of your MIS director. Whereas you may want to have the software member of your team interfacing with your Datacom MIS people. And then you have the salesperson, the sales member of the team, breaking ground with the vice president, higher, upper-level managers of the corporation to explain why wiring can be strategically important and why you'd want to consider something as mundane as wiring, if you will, as a concern of upper-level management. I see that as the salesperson's job, that in fact they will be affecting the company's profitability if they put in a wiring system that precludes good, efficient communications for the next 5 or 10 years. That is a concern of an upper-level manager. The salesperson has to be comfortable with how to position that. And I think I just explained how the other two support people can help that salesperson in the team sale. I think DECconnect truly is a team selling effort.
The message is clear. Get your networking support people involved with your DECconnect prospects and customers. They speak the same language as the facilities managers and construction people involved in the DECconnect sale. And they will free up your time to sell DECconnect to upper-level management. A recent survey of DECconnect customers by Networks and Communications Marketing revealed 3 key reasons why customers purchased DECconnect.
We have found in marketing, we did a survey involving the top DECconnect sales. And what we did was we communicated with salespeople to find out what were the major features and benefits of the DECconnect sale. And what was highlighted to us unanimously in all the accounts that we talked with is the comprehensive nature of the DECconnect system. Without getting into technical detail, suffice it to say that what we bring to the office environment of your clients is the most complete communications and wiring system that exists for data communications and also involves voice communications. This is very important to our customers and to prospective customers because you do not want to have to rewire a building. Once the building is up, the wiring infrastructure, the means of connectivity is there. It is very difficult to retrofit afterwards. Therefore, the completeness of our solution is very appealing from a sales perspective. In addition to that, the flexibility that this completeness provides the customer in terms of moving from office to office is extremely beneficial to the customer. We are very price competitive, and we offer growth potential for the customer.
So the combination of growth, flexibility, and the comprehensiveness of the solution are the three main reasons that customers cited for selecting DECconnect. And this survey revealed DECconnect customers to be in a variety of industries, not just in our traditional stronghold markets.
We have found DECconnect sales to be in a variety of industries, which is very, very significant as far as we're concerned. We have sold DECconnect to banks. We have sold DECconnect to colleges. We have sold DECconnect to in an office environment. And we've also sold DECconnect in the areas where we're traditionally successful. Research institutes, for example, Battelle was highlighted in one of the DECcell articles recently. But the thing that I want to emphasize here is that DECconnect has been successful in places other than non-traditional digital markets.
What is the competitive environment for DECconnect?
Primary competition for DECconnect is AT&T and IBM. AT&T has a cabling system called the Premise Distribution System, and they also fit this into an overall architecture they call the Information Systems Network. And the IBM has the IBM cabling system and IBM token rate. So basically, AT&T and IBM both have cabling plans and local area networks. Similarly, DECconnect is competing in terms of its cabling, our cabling system, and also the Ethernet local area network, which is an integral part of the DECconnect system. We have been very effective against competition, and I think we will continue to be effective against competition, particularly in the next 12 months. The reason why I say this is because AT&T and IBM, while they have had cabling plans in the marketplace for 2 years, they have not been delivering their local area network in volume. They're having problems delivering their local area networks, particularly in terms of software development. Whereas with Digital Equipment Corporation, we have been delivering Ethernet local area networking since 1981. Ethernet is the dominant local area network in the market today with approximately 80% market share. And Digital has, by the way, 35% of the Ethernet market in addition to that.
Digital has a tremendous edge over IBM and AT&T. Not only do we have the infrastructure, but we can deliver our local area network today. IBM and AT&T are working very hard to catch up with us, however.
The point I'd like to stress here is that even though Ethernet and DECnet are going to be dominant market forces well beyond the next 12-month window, because we are one company, one architecture, we are very user-friendly, we are leaders in open systems interconnection. Even considering all those things, AT&T and IBM, by their sheer size, are going to be serious threats to digital. It is very important for us to gain momentum and capture market share over the next 12 months so that when AT&T and IBM with their Mongol hordes of salespeople will hit the market, we will have had the momentum built over these next 12 to 18 months, and we will be capturing market share over the next 12 to 18 months. It will be key to digital success beyond the next year or two. It will be key to our success strategically over the next 5 to 10 years.
It's important, then, that you maximize the competitive advantage you have with Digital's networking products over the next 12 months. These sales will build the foundation, which will be the key to our long-term success in the networking marketplace. Let's review the key points about DECconnect, which you'll want to keep in mind when you're selling this product. The target customers and prospects for DECconnect are accounts where you'll find any one of the following conditions: major new construction, major building renovation, the purchase of a new PBX voice communication system, and a major acquisition of data communications products. These conditions make the DECconnect sale different from a typical hardware sale. You'll find yourself talking to different decision makers and influencers, such as construction people and facilities managers. Therefore, you'll want to use a team selling approach with DECconnect customers and prospects. Most importantly, selling DECconnect today has far-reaching implications for Digital's overall ability to sell computers and desktop products in the long term in a given account. IBM and AT&T are putting every available resource to work on catching up to us in networking. For more information on selling DECconnect, please contact your local Digital network teams.
The Networking Van Seminar has helped sales reps close over $60 million worth of business. During this audio presentation, you'll learn all about the Van Seminar, what it is, why it's been so successful in helping sales reps close business, and why this is an important event for your customers and prospects to participate in. Bob Carty is a marketing manager with Networks and Communications Marketing.
The Van Seminar is addressed in three major objectives. Number one is to give an executive level, high managerial level audience an understanding of what some of the technology is in communications. Secondly, how that technology can be used in an applications to accomplish and solve specific problems. And then third, to allow us to position Digital's leadership capability in networking.
The Van Seminar, then, is directed at the executive level audience. Many managers who have come up through the commercial side of a company may not be very familiar with Digital. So the Van Seminar was developed to educate these managers who didn't understand Digital and show them who we are and what we can do with our networking capabilities.
Basically, this program got started as a part of the Success Train in the fall of '84 and was so well received by the sales reps and resulted in many, many requests to take the program to their customers. So while we couldn't do it on an individual basis, what we agreed to do is to bring it to the districts and then let them bring their customers to the program. It was also originally designed to support the establishment of digital networking teams out in the field, rather than concentrating all the expertise in networking back here and then flying people all over the world. What was intended to do was to put the expertise out in the district so they're easily accessible to sales reps, so that when networking or tying systems together becomes a critical part to turn the business, you have local available assets and resources to draw on to help close the business. And so, in result of supporting the digital networking team program, the seminar program was developed to meet the needs, to address an executive level who didn't understand digital, and to show them really who we are and what we do at Digital.
What happens during a Van Seminar?
Basically, the Van Seminar is a 3-hour program. We normally kick off at 9 o'clock and we try to wrap up by noontime. The first portion we talk about, we make reference to all of the press that's been written about digital, and we try to demystify why all of the recent press attention to digital. And we go in and talk about our philosophy of distributed data processing versus mainframe, and talk a lot about so they understand what digital is all about. Then we finish off the first section with what we call a large demo, which takes various different areas, and we demonstrate video text and fax notes and electronic mail. And so we give them an indication of how easy it can be. Then we come back in the second section and we talk about technology, all of their various technology that is used, and then do more demos, demoing different technology, and we can show the compatibility. We create a file on a fax microvacs in the room and we show it out till we have a cluster in the truck of a VAX 750 and a VAX 8200. And we show in the cluster concept how you can transfer it from the microvacs in the hotel to the cluster and then go in on either system, either the 8200 or the 750, and get access to that central disk storage facility and still access that. So it shows our compatibility, how you don't have to convert, you can transfer and work within that environment. And I think that these are the key areas that help to drive home the points. So all we really do, we don't close business. The only person in digital who closes business is the sales rep. But what we have is a tool that allows it to be a very effective tool to help a customer understand and make points that maybe the rep has been trying to do over a long period of time, but the customer sees it and understands then what we're saying in our advertising and paying all the things when we say digital has it now. They understand it and they recognize what our capability is. For the MIS people, many of them recognize how difficult this would be to do in an IBM environment. And therefore, they understand that digital does have a place to meet their information needs. And so what we've found is that can open doors, along with the press that we've been getting, this is an effective tool to open some doors that maybe the sales rep has not been able to penetrate so far.
The Van Seminar is a very effective sales tool for you to use. Through the presentations and demonstrations that are given at the seminar, your customer or prospect will understand what we mean when we say that digital has it now. And the Van Seminar can be used at any time throughout the sales cycle, not just as a closing tool.
We've had it been used as a final block in a long series of steps to penetrate accounts. And basically, and I sold in the field, it's when the local rep continually is there presenting the digital story to the customer. Yes, they understand it, but there's sometimes just a lack of really that last segment. And when you bring corporate people out to the field to give the presentations and deliver the seminar, sometimes it's that last extra thing which adds the credibility. And then when we demonstrate, and we do live demos, we demonstrate that capability, it's the last thing that the customer needs, and they really see and believe, and then they have the ability then to sign the contract. But it's from that all the way back to when someone is strategically, when digital's on the technical side of the house, and part of the overall strategy of that account representative is to penetrate into the commercial side of the house, then this is a good way to get those people an exposure to digital. And even the MIS director, who might be true blue, to go and if you have to work in a large account, if you have to deal with this individual, don't avoid them. Go in, and this is a way for them to come to understand what we mean about how easy networking can be versus an IBM world where networking systems together can be different. Digital has this advantage because of our two strategic advantages, and that's the compatibility of the VAX family and also built to an architecture that allows systems to easily communicate between systems versus other vendors who've developed incompatible architectures and products that growth becomes a serious problem as you evolve through the growing cycle of a company. And many of the people in the MIS shops are aware of what all of the headaches that means and represents, and we need to tell them how easy it can be.
The most important reason to bring a customer or prospect to the Van Seminar is so that they can see just how easy networking can be.
Our advertising theme now is Digital Has It Now, and this Van Seminar allows us to give positive proof by what we mean, because we talk about the technologies. In the seminar, you have a broadband network in the truck, a baseband network in the hotel, complete with all the new DECconnect, and it's tied together by a fiber optic link. During the demonstrations, we accessed EasyNet, which is one of the world's largest non-defense global data networks in the world, with some 10,000 plus nodes and some 29 different countries and in excess of 60,000 users. So here from this hotel and wherever the city is, we can show baseband, broadband with fiber optics along with DECconnect. And by accessing over a dial-up line to come in and access systems back here in the New Hampshire area, and then through gateways to access either an IBM 4381 that we have for developmental purposes in Littleton, Mass, and we can access systems in Australia, in the UK, and Scotland. So we show very easily how you can connect, and by this visible means, the customer understands now what we say when we say digital has it now.
The theme of the Van Seminar is information access. Why is that important?
I think the basic business that we're in is the timely distribution of useful information. And what that means is that the right people have the right information when they need it as part of the decision process of running the business. And you know, I think one of the things that's happening right now is, several years ago, the big push was on personal computers. But the Fortune 1000 are now seeing that by placing personal computers on desktops throughout the company did not solve the information problem that they had within the company, because those personal computers became islands where it might help the individual who has it on his or her desk, but it doesn't do anything to help the productivity of the department or the company as a whole just by having isolated personal computers. Now we have means of tying those personal computers together and providing access to corporate information, thereby freeing up the information flow and having to become an asset of the business rather than a bottleneck. So I think when we get into this, we talk about opening up all the new technologies. We talk about baseband, about broadband, fiber optics, microwave, satellite. And when we get involved with this technology, the user doesn't have to understand. If they access a system in the UK, they don't need to know whether it's over dial-up, whether it's private line, whether it's satellite. It's totally transparent to them. What they do know is that they now have the ability to reach that information that they need, bring it to them, and then manipulate it within their own particular operating environment to deliver the end solution, and that helps to support the decision-making process.
So the customer learns how information access allows them to make more timely decisions, and as a result, gives them a competitive edge in their industry. The Van Seminar has helped sales reps close over $60 million worth of business. Why has it been so successful?
I think it's been successful based upon the comments that we've had. Just to give you an example, in Kansas City, we talked to an end user from a department manager. And what they had said to me was, after attending the seminar and coming out and touring the truck, that they wanted to know if I could tell them who their sales rep was, because they wanted that sales rep to come with them next week to their MIS department, because they said those people in MIS have been telling me for 3 years that they can't give me what you just did off the back of this truck. Another comment was from an MIS director in a company in Chicago, and they said, you know, it's a shame. We spend the largest percent of our time working, trying to do maintenance and code changes to meet the requirements of our vendor, rather than doing the useful work of responding to the end user needs of our company, so that the company that's paying us, we can't meet their needs because we have to meet the obligations and the requirements of the vendor that we have chosen. And then a third example was once again, I think it was St. Louis. I talked with an OEM, and at the time I was speaking with him, I didn't realize it was an OEM. But at the end of the session, I said, by the way, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm a digital OEM. And I said, well, how do you think all the things that you've learned today has helped? He said, would you change anything? He said, I wouldn't change a thing, because now I have a better understanding of the capability of the company that I'm representing, and therefore I can feel I can better represent the company. So I think that this has helped broaden my viewpoint by gaining an appreciation of what digital has a capability. And so by these three comments, I think this is indicative of how this seminar program can be used within an overall strategy of particular accounts to help make the point of what the strategic advantages that we have with the compatibility of the VAX family and the ease of communications between systems.
With all the recent good press digital has been getting, now is the time to use the Van Seminar to leverage new business opportunities. Be sure to take advantage of the Van Seminar when it comes to your area. You can give your customers and prospects the opportunity to see a live demonstration of networking. They'll leave the Van Seminar with a solid understanding of digital, believe in our superior networking capabilities, and want to implement a networking solution in their companies today. For more information on the Van Seminar, and in order to register for the seminar in the city closest to your location, just contact your local digital network team. As you've heard us say on side one, this cassette is devoted to the topic of networking. On this side of the tape, you'll hear audio presentations on a new networking product, VAX DECMAP, and the results of a study of Digital's installed base of networking customers.
Have your customers been asking you when Digital would announce its MAP-compatible product? Well, if they have, you can now tell them that it's here. VAX DECMAP version 1.0 is Digital's network implementation that adheres to the MAP, or Manufacturing Automation Protocol, specification. It was announced on November 12th at the AutoFact trade show in Detroit. In this audio presentation, you'll hear all about VAX DECMAP, what it is, why it is an important product for you to know about, how this product will impact the manufacturing industry, who the best prospects are for this product, and how to sell VAX DECMAP to your customers, particularly how to position it with our other networking products, such as DECnet. Throughout this presentation, you'll be hearing from Wayne Adams, a MAP marketing specialist from the SIM Marketing Group in Marlborough, Massachusetts. Before we begin our discussion on VAX DECMAP, let's review what MAP is.
It's the acronym stands for Manufacturing Automation Protocol. It's a complete 7-layer protocol that adheres to the OSI reference model for networking. It's an industry protocol that's been defined by primarily customers and vendors working together, and it's not proprietary in any way.
What is VAX DECMAP?
VAX DECMAP is a network implementation that adheres to the MAP specification. Digital's implementation runs on the VAX architecture for the VMS operating system. The MAP specification is based upon the OSI reference model, which is a 7-layer model. Of the 7 layers, our Digital VAX DECMAP product implements layers 3 through 7. And with required hardware from Concord Communications Incorporated, which implements layers 1 and 2. Together, Digital VAX DECMAP and Concord's MAP Server plus TIM, that required hardware, comprise of the 7-layer solution for the MAP networking protocol.
VAX DECMAP is a combination of hardware and software. This hardware and software combination implements the networking protocol for multi-vendor networking in a manufacturing environment. VAX DECMAP adheres to the MAP version 2.1 specification. VAX DECMAP together with Concord Communications MAP Server provide a complete 7-layer solution for the MAP networking protocol. How was VAX DECMAP introduced?
VAX DECMAP was introduced at the AutoFact trade show on November 12th in Detroit, Michigan. The AutoFact trade show is a SIM, computer integrated manufacturing oriented trade show, and this product fits into this market space for computer integrated manufacturing, since MAP is a multi-vendor networking protocol geared towards manufacturing communications between robots, programmable controllers, numerical controllers, and computer systems.
So VAC's DECMAP was introduced at the AutoFact trade show because this product fits into the SIM market space. You'll want to know about VAC's DECMAP for several reasons.
Most of our major accounts that are in the manufacturing business have been facing a problem for some time. Since the cost of computer technology has become less and less, we see more of this technology embedded in devices that aid in manufacturing products in higher volume and better quality. One of the major problems facing these customers that are automating their manufacturing facilities is they need to get information at the right time and in real time. And one of the problems is that all this different automation equipment, including computer systems from Digital Equipment Corporation, do not communicate very well between the different vendors. Different vendors that make equipment in this environment are Allen Bradley, Cincinnati Milacron, Hewlett-Packard, IBM, Gould, and etc. We all have proprietary protocols, and in the past it's been expensive in putting together a plant-wide information network throughout the factory. What MAP has done is paved the road for vendors to implement a networking protocol that will allow all these different devices to communicate in a common networking protocol. And most of our major accounts have decided that the decade of the 80s is the decade to automate their manufacturing facilities to become more competitive on a worldwide basis. So many of these same customers are very, very much involved in the MAP Top Users Group, and they endorse using this networking protocol. You may find that some customers will not consider a vendor if they do not provide MAP communication protocols in their products. So this product permits digital to remain competitive and maintain its leadership in the factory.
Your customers who are trying to automate their manufacturing facilities will want to know about VAC's DECMAP. Many leading manufacturing companies have decided that this is the decade to automate the factory, and they endorse the MAP networking protocol. Therefore, VAC's DECMAP is a key product for digital in helping us to maintain our leadership position in this market. A major goal of the leading manufacturers is to automate and achieve some level of SIM or computer-integrated manufacturing. VAC's DECMAP, because it is leading-edge technology, will make a strong impact in the manufacturing industry in helping them realize this goal.
It is big news in the sense that Digital Equipment Corporation is the leader in the factory for level 2 and level 3 computing, and we are very, very big in the factory in the sense that we control a lot of the information that does move about in the factory. What this new product does is permit us to get into other areas of the factory that have been done in less traditional ways, writing custom protocol converters and translators. This product, when implemented on our VAX VMS operating system, and when other vendors of automation equipment also implement in their products the MAP protocol, permit us to do peer-to-peer communications in the factory, which is the truest sense of distributed computing.
VAC's DECMAP is a product that many leading manufacturers have been waiting for. In that sense, selling this product is unlike selling many other new products.
This product, VAC's DECMAP, is unique in a sense that since the customers have defined the MAP technology itself, the customers are pulling upon Digital Equipment Corporation for the product. Since they widely use our VAC systems in the factory, they've been questioning digital for some period of time. When will you have your MAP product? We have finally announced it on November 12th. In comparison to other products that digital manufactures in more of a proprietary sense and based upon our own internal design, we need to push products to the market to educate the customers about what our new product sets are. Since MAP has been widely accepted already by the customer base, a lot of the selling activity is already done in the sense that customers want to use this MAP technology in the factory and they want to use our computer systems. And now, since we've announced our VAC DECMAP product, now the customers can go on to the next step, and that is using our VAC system in integrating their plant-wide information network.
VAC's DECMAP is a very important product for digital and for your customers. Manufacturers who are automating their factories will require vendors to offer this technology as part of their product set. Who are the best customers and prospects for VAX DECMAP?
The industry segments that have been behind us have been discrete and process manufacturing customers, more heavily discrete at this point in time. This includes the industries for aerospace, automotive, heavy metals, and the chemicals and food and beverage industries as well. Companies such as DuPont, General Motors, Boeing, Alcoa, Inland Steel, Ford Motor Company, McDonnell Douglas, Lockheed, United States Air Force. This also fits into some of the government areas as well that get involved in manufacturing as well, even though it could be considered government industry segment. Since this technology is new and emerging, this MAP technology, customers must first work with this technology, not in their factories at first, but in their advanced manufacturing laboratories to get familiar with the performance characteristics and interfaces to this product. So it's very important that Digital establish ourselves in these advanced manufacturing labs. This isn't a high volume product within the next 12 months, but once we've established ourselves as having a very solid product with the customer base, when he is ready to move this technology into his day-to-day operations, this is when it will turn into a volume product, and we will demonstrate our leadership in the factory by the customer selecting digital.
Within the first 12 months of this product introduction, most customers for VAX DECMAP will consist of the Fortune 100. These are the companies that can afford to work with leading-edge technologies. MAP is important to making these customers successful in their day-to-day business in the future. Because it is new and emerging technology, however, they must first work with it in an advanced manufacturing laboratory environment. How do you sell VAX DECMAP to these customers?
VAX DECMAP is one component of the sell. Since we're selling into the manufacturing environment, solution selling is the key tack to be taken here. With solution selling to the customer, it is a certain flavor of SIM, computer integrated manufacturing. If we was to break up some of the major components of computer integrated manufacturing, you have applications and networks to tie together a plant-wide information network. VAX DECMAP provides the networking portion of it. The application side still has to be addressed to the customer, and this is done through our cooperative marketing program with packages for quality assurance and manufacturing resource planning and so on.
So, solution selling is the way to approach prospects and customers for VAX DECMAP. What is the competitive environment for VAX DECMAP?
Since MAP is a multi-vendor networking product, some situations we will find that we are not competing with IBM and Hewlett-Packard, in that the customer has already selected these vendors to implement part of their solution in putting together their plant-wide information network. And this is very important to understand because it's not all digital equipment going into the factory. There will be IBM systems and Hewlett-Packard systems, and the strength of this product, VAX DECMAP, and the MAP technology itself permits multi-vendor communications between different vendors' equipment. Thus, in some situations, we will be implementing our product on a network along with IBM. In the future, when all vendors do have MAP products adhering to the MAP version 2.1 specification, it will become more or less a commodity product, and we must look beyond the strength and features of what our MAP product has today, and which includes our VAX architecture that goes from our VAX 8800 all the way down to our MicroVAX, the number of OEMs that use our systems, the number of cooperative marketing partner companies that work with our systems, and the number of customers that work with our systems. These are our selling strengths in the solution selling environment. It's not only the VAX DECMAP product by itself.
Because VAX DECMAP is a multi-vendor networking product, in some situations you'll find that you are not directly competing with our traditional competitors in this market space. The customer may already have competitive systems in place. The strength of VAX DECMAP is that it permits multi-vendor communications between different vendors' equipment. That's why solution selling is so important here, not just selling VAX DECMAP by itself. What key benefits does VAX DECMAP offer to the customer?
What this product offers to customers is the ability to implement peer-to-peer communications in the factory between Digital Equipment Corporation, VAX systems running the VMS operating system, and systems that are supplied by robotic suppliers, programmable controller suppliers, microprocessor suppliers, and other system suppliers. And the major benefit here to the customer is that he does not have to make investments in custom protocol converters and translators, and that he can achieve peer-to-peer communications without going through an intermediary communication system.
And that's why most manufacturing customers support MAP technology. They reap the benefits of reducing their costs in establishing a plant-wide information network. How should you position VAX DECMAP with our other networking products, such as DECnet?
Some customers have perceived VAX DECMAP and just MAP technology in general to compete with our digital network architecture, but in reality it is very much complementary and part of our long-range goals for OSI products. MAP technology is based on OSI protocols, and our VAX DECMAP product incorporates these OSI protocols. This product is part of our umbrella program for OSI products, and part of our longer range strategy is to migrate our digital network architecture over a period of time to incorporate more and more OSI protocols. So in the future, we will expect to see this VAX DECMAP product become part of the digital network architecture. But for today, MAP technology is more or less leading edge technology. Our DECnet product and our digital network architecture has been a tried and proven networking architecture that is widely used today and is very rich and very efficient in its services between communicating to digital systems, wide area networking, and also with our IBM Interconnect products, solving those networking connections.
So VAX DECMAP and MAP technology don't compete with our digital network architecture. They complement it and are part of our long-range strategy for open systems interconnect products. In review, VAX DECMAP version 1.0 is a new networking product. It is a combination of hardware and software which implements the networking protocol for multi-vendor networking in a manufacturing environment. It adheres to the MAP version 2.1 specification. It is the most functional product on the market today for our systems. And this product runs on our line of Unibus and BI-Bus VAX processors that run the VMS operating system. For more information on VAX DECMAP, refer to the November 3rd issue of Sales Update.
Digital's networking capabilities have been the focus of many recent articles in the press. It is also what we are referring to with our main advertising theme, Digital Has It Now. When you are selling networking to your customers, do they often ask for the proof behind all these claims we're making? If so, you'll be most interested to hear what Janet Hyland, the Market Development Manager for Networks and Communications Marketing, has to say. In this audio presentation, you'll hear Janet discuss all the facts and figures around Digital's installed base of networking customers, what our networking market share is, as well as a profile of our DECnet customer networks. Digital has a substantial installed base of networking customers. You've probably heard lots of different numbers tossed around. According to Janet, the latest numbers are quite impressive.
Through September 1986, Digital has shipped 75,000 DECnet licenses. We can compare this, by the way, to IBM's System Network Architecture, SNA, where in June 1986, Computer Systems News reported that IBM had sold 23,000 SNA licenses worldwide. At about that time, Digital had sold 55,000 DECnet licenses, so we're shipping over twice as many as IBM is today. Looking at Ethernet, our local area network products, Digital has shipped 70,000 Ethernet controllers, which would represent customers attaching CPUs to Ethernets, and over 115,000 controllers and communication servers, which means terminal servers, gateways, routers, and controllers. And these products have been shipped to roughly 8,000 customer locations. Currently, we're shipping an average of 6,500 Ethernet terminal ports per week and 800 Ethernet controllers per week.
So when comparing sales of DECnet licenses with sales of SNA licenses, Digital is shipping over twice as many as IBM is today. Digital is number one in the local area network market, and not just because we say so.
Some industry analysts seem to disagree with this, but it's important to understand that a lot of the studies that are being published are really based on guesses that the industry analysts make. And it wasn't until about a year or so ago that we had approval for external distributions of these kinds of numbers that I've been talking about. And since that time, I've worked with both DataQuest and International Data Corporation, IDC, in helping them prepare their local area network studies. And as a result of this, both DataQuest and IDC have come out saying that Digital is number one in the local area network market.
Both DataQuest and IDC agree, then, that Digital is, in fact, the number one vendor in the local area network market. Also, an article that appeared in Electronic Business this past June also stated that Digital is continuing to dominate the market for local area networks. So what exactly is our market share?
It's difficult to figure this out. If we look at DataQuest says that Digital had somewhere around 18% share of both the revenues and the shipments of the 1985 LAN market, and about 28% of the terminal server or terminal port shipments, which they say is twice our nearest competitor. IDC will be publishing a study this month that will come out and say that Digital in 1986 has a 36% share of the general purpose market. But there's a lot of problems in how industry analysts collect this information. Typically they call the vendors, and the vendors tell them really whatever they feel like telling them, and if a vendor can't tell them the information, then they guess. So it makes it pretty difficult to put these numbers in perspective.
An additional source of information used to substantiate our dominance in the local area network market is Computer Intelligence Corporation. Every month, Computer Intelligence interviews thousands of MIS managers in North American computer installations. Based on information collected from interviews with data communications managers at 10,000 of the largest computer installations, Digital LANs have the strongest presence in sites that report having local area networks installed. And at the sites interviewed with VAX computers, Digital is mentioned as the LAN vendor of 69% of the installed LANs. Networks and Communications Marketing, through a recent extensive survey of DECnet, IBM SNA, and other network users, is in the process of developing a profile of the LAN customer.
We're beginning to receive results from an extensive survey that we're conducting of DECnet, IBM, SNA, and other network users. We've interviewed roughly 500 installations of networks and asked a lot of questions of network decision makers and network managers. It's important, as I talk about this, to remember that we're talking about DECnet here, DECnet in its entirety, and not just Ethernet. First, if we look at DECnet customers, DECnet's 11 years old, and it's important to know, though, that 3/4 of our DECnet customers have already adopted Ethernet for their physical local area links. Looking at at the networks, though, in their entirety, DECnet networks typically span beyond one building or site, where 45% of the respondents that we interviewed said that their DECnet networks were either national or international in scope, and that they spanned an average of 11 sites. And that's a pretty impressive size network, both numbers of sites and geography. To span those distances, our DECnet customers are using a variety of wide area transmission capabilities, typically leased lines and dial-up lines, but they're beginning to become much more sophisticated in their communications, long-distance communications, indicated by the fact that 12% of them are already using fiber optics.
It's important to note, then, that 3/4 of our customers who were surveyed have adopted Ethernet for their local area network links. The study also revealed both the size of the account's network and the types of components included in the network.
Looking at DECnet networks that are running Ethernet, the size of those networks vary widely, and they also vary a lot in the components that are included in those networks. There are some extremely large networks out there in our customer base. Without giving a little statistics course here, I'd like to talk about what would be the typical network, which would be the network that you might find if you walked into any customer installation. Those DECnet Ethernet networks typically will have 6 computer systems attached to the network, roughly 6 modems, 4 terminal servers, and 1 multiplexer. What that really means is that they're using DECnet and its capabilities, Ethernet, to connect users to the systems and the systems to each other. Looking at averages, and because we do have some extremely large networks in our customer base, the averages are what we call skewed a lot higher, and an average network winds up having many more CPUs, an average of 25, more modems, more terminal servers, more multiplexers, and also a lot more components, Ethernet components like bridges, repeaters, gateways, and routers. These would be prevalent in the more complex, larger Ethernet networks in our installed base.
Typically, then, DECnet Ethernet networks will have 6 computer systems attached to the network, 6 modems for terminal servers, and 1 multiplexer. And that means that our customers are using DECnet to connect users to the systems and the systems to each other. Information was also gathered on what applications were running across the networks.
We should all be encouraged to know that office applications were the most frequently used in our DECnet customer installations, where roughly 70% of the people that we talked to said that they were using office applications, which would include electronic mail and word processing and so on. In these networks as well is a large prevalence of financial applications, engineering applications, manufacturing, and personnel running across those networks.
Office applications were found to be the most frequently used in our DECnet customer base. Other commonly used applications were financial, engineering, manufacturing, and personnel. Most importantly, DECnet customers were asked how satisfied they were with their DECnet networking software.
The response to this question is really encouraging, where 68% of the people that we interviewed said that they were very satisfied with their DECnet software, and another 31% said that they were somewhat satisfied, which leaves just a 1% who said that they were somewhat dissatisfied, and this is really encouraging news.
99% of those DECnet customers surveyed responded that they were either extremely satisfied or very satisfied with their DECnet networking software.
I think all of this summed up says that digital is doing something right. And although I may have thrown out a lot of facts and numbers here, I think they're proof that digital is doing something right. Looking at our shipments, our installed base, our market share, the fact that our customers have substantial networks, not just pilot networks as many of the IBM token rings are today, and the fact that our customers are telling us that they're very satisfied with what we're doing, all says, in summation, that digital is doing something right.
There is a new program, Ethernet 87, being introduced currently through the P&SG organization. This extremely comprehensive program will help identify opportunities to introduce Ethernet to your customers through the use of the tools and information provided therein. These tools will help you differentiate the digital Ethernet solution. It will lay the groundwork for networking revenue today while virtually guaranteeing network expansion opportunities in the future. Included in the program is a section on prospecting and awareness. It includes 5 scenarios which can be used as guidelines to identify the customers with the highest potential for terminal servers. Also included is a complete customer presentation. An easy-to-use tool, it provides basic understanding of digital's terminal servers. It also addresses the issues typical with direct connection and data switches. The superior features of the DEC Server 200 are highlighted. Immediately following is the competitive information you will need to sway your sales situations against our leading terminal server competitors, such as Zyplex, Ungerman Bass, Mycom Interlan, and Bridge Communications. If your customers still need more convincing, specific details of the discount program available for purchase of VT220 terminals with terminal servers, as well as the DEC Server 200 seed program, are given. For more information on Ethernet 87, contact your local digital network team.
This tape was produced by Educational Services Sales Training in Littleton, Massachusetts in December 1986. This tape is not to be reproduced without permission of the copyright owner. Copyright 1986, Digital Equipment Corporation. On our next tape, you'll be hearing all about the new DECmate 3 Plus hard disk system. You'll also hear about digital in the electronic publishing industry, as well as IBM RPG migration products and services. If you know someone who would like to subscribe to the Sales Training Audio Cassette program, ask them to contact us through VaxMail, Wisdom, WIZDOM, cassettes, or DECmail, cassettes at LJO. And remember, this tape contains sensitive information and should not be played for customers.